Getting through your regular and mandatory courses for your program is already a really hard thing to do. So the last thing you want to be doing to yourself is taking a whole bunch of electives that you thought were going to be easy and they turned out to just triple your workload. Today we're going to be talking about some key bird courses that you should consider taking while you're at the University of Toronto that are going to make your life as a student a whole lot easier. And if you are new around here, hi, my name is Shahan. This entire channel is focused on creating student advice, lifestyle tips, and personal development. So with that said and done, let's get into the first bird course on this list. The first course on today's list is RLG 204, and this is a personal highlight of mine when I look at some of the electives that I've had to take over the last few years at UofT. The course does have a midterm and a final exam, but both of them are a 24-hour take-home exam. So what that means is the exam is going to open and you're going to have access to your notes and your textbook, and you can submit your exam anytime within those 24 hours. So you're not going to have any exams which are proctor you or use any of the other tools which keep an eye on you as a student. You're going to be able to just work on this at your own tempo, and then you can submit it when you're ready. The professor for this course is incredibly passionate about what he does, and he tries his best to make the course as engaging as possible, and specifically during some of the lectures because it can be at times a little bit dry, the content. So he tries his best to, I guess, add a little bit of flair and just tries to keep your interest when you're in those lectures twice a week. There is also a research paper which you're going to have to do for this course, but it isn't really that hard, to be honest. So as long as you start working on it well in advance within the semester so that you can research all of the articles and the books that you're going to use, you shouldn't have any problem meeting the deadline, and the assignment itself isn't hard, it's just really time consuming. The next course on today's list is AST 204, and this is another course that I had a really good and positive experience with. And as a business student, I try my best always not to take science or non-business related electives. I always try to do things that I'm more comfortable with, and science and astronomy are just not part of that. However, that being said, when I took this course, I was, I guess, taking a bit of a gamble and a risk when I was doing it. But after finally going through that whole course and completing it, I can definitely say that this definitely falls under the bird course category. I was able to follow all of the content throughout the whole semester, even though I'm on paper considered, I guess, more of a beginner science student. So even for somebody like me who was a complete novice and had zero previous experience with these types of courses, I was able to go through it with no problem at all. The midterm and the final are both open book, and they're relatively reasonable as well. And one of the great things is that compared to some of your other courses, you're not going to have to study as intensely for this course. One of the main pieces of this course is going to be the homework component. So this is probably going to take you maybe 2 or 3 hours every week. But the majority of the time, I would say I was doing the homework assignments and just kind of learning the content. And then the actual time I spent for the exam was relatively minimal compared to some of my other courses. But even though there is a bit more homework for this course compared to others, I would recommend doing that because I would rather take more homework throughout the semester and then having a midterm and a final which I don't have to spend as much time studying for. The next course on today's list is AST 251, and we're going to be continuing the astronomy theme with this course, similar to the last course. And again, this is a course that I took as a bit of a gamble or a risk. As a non-science student, I wasn't really sure if this was going to be a bird course or how much science was involved, but the way that the course was structured and organized really worked in my favor. The first thing to note right away is that there is no midterm or final exam for this course. So go ahead and cross that off your calendar because that's time you're going to be getting back to study for all of your other courses. The main components of this course are the homework and the tutorial quizzes. So just talking about the homework for a second, I found that usually on a weekly basis, I would spend about maybe 2 or 3 hours working on the homework, and these are mostly going to be application questions. So you're going to be taking the things that you learned from the lecture and then trying to do a whole bunch of practice questions with them. After attending the lecture for that week, then you're going to go ahead and attend the tutorial at some point, which is when the tutorial quizzes are going to be asked. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to get a couple of questions probably at the start and at the end of the tutorial, and your grade is going to be determined based on did you get the question right, and it's also going to be a participation mark. So they're not as scary as they sound because basically even if you get the question wrong, you're still going to be getting part marks for literally just putting an answer down. The hardest part about this course is definitely the 2 individual projects which are assigned, and this is going to be the majority of what you're working on throughout the whole semester. So the thing to remember is that, again, there is no midterm or final exam, so you're going to have quite a bit of time throughout the semester to work on these projects. So as long as you actually take a good amount of time in advance to plan and do the projects, you're going to have no problems at all getting through this course. If you found the video helpful so far, make sure you like the video and subscribe, because almost 78% of you who were watching my last video weren't subscribed to the channel. So it'd be a really big favor and I'd really appreciate it if you just scroll down below and hit that subscribe button. The 4th course on today's list is MUS 211, and if you're looking for a course that you can kind of just cruise through and you're only going to be working on a couple of hours a week, then this is the course for you. In a typical week, you're going to have some readings which you're going to have to get through, a lecture which you're going to have to watch, and then a weekly discussion board, but other than that, there's nothing else you're really going to be working on for the rest of the week, so that's a lot of time you're going to be getting back. There is a midterm and final exam for this course, but as long as you're doing the readings and keeping up with everything, you're gonna have no issues because they really are just straightforward and the professor doesn't try to trick you or throw some random questions on the exam. If you went to the tutorials and the lectures and you did all the readings, you're gonna have no problems. The 5th course on today's list is NEW 103, but just a heads up, this is a first year seminar, so it's only going to be available to those of you who are going into first year. If you're generally interested in technology and you want to learn a bit more about AI and smart cities and other things like that, then I think you're really going to enjoy this course. The first thing to make a note of is that there is no midterm or final exam for this course, so just go ahead and mark that down because it's a whole bunch of time you're going to be getting back. And the other thing to keep in mind is that the lectures are actually only once a week, but they are 3 hours long. This is a small price to pay though, because even though the lectures are a little bit on the long side, you're not going to be spending that much time outside of class really doing that much work, because it's only going to be the readings and then the weekly discussion boards that you're working on. There's no other projects or big assignments that are really coming up. And again, since there's no midterm or final exam, it is going to be worth it in the end. The one last thing to keep in mind if you decide to take this course is that you should really try to get to as many lectures as possible, because I believe there is a small participation grade that's going to go towards your final grade. So don't take this course if you're not going to be able to go to the lectures or if you're skipping them. Make sure that you make an effort to get to the lectures. It's really going to help you in the long run. And the final course on today's list is GGR 124, and this is a course which was recommended to me by a friend who has taken the course, and they themselves have said it's a bird course. But since I personally haven't taken it, I'm gonna still include this as an honorable mention, I guess. So go on Reddit and other online resources and check this course out and decide for yourselves if it's a course that you want to take, if it looks like a bird course, and then go from there. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to go check out this video where I talk about a whole bunch of tips and tricks for Rotman enrollment. And if you're getting ready to go back to school, then make sure you check out this video where I talk about all of the dorm room essentials you have to have before moving out this year.